Hello! Today we are going to talk about my 2026 knitting goals. I actually probably only have time to talk about how last year went, so I'll film this in 2 sittings. So just warning now, there will be a costume change, I guess. Or maybe I have time later today. I don't know. Well, you guys don't care about that. Let's talk about how I did on my knitting goals for 2025, and then we'll talk about what I want to do in 2026. I feel like 2025 was a great year of knitting for me. I feel like I'm definitely an intermediate knitter now. I learned a lot about my own knitting preferences, about my fabric preferences, my technique preferences. I feel confident about making changes to patterns, at least some changes to patterns, which I feel like was definitely an upskilling moment for me. Yeah, I came out of 2025 with a lot of things that I made that I really love, and a few fails, but fails that I definitely learned from. See my insanely long 2025 what I knit video with timestamps if you don't want to have to sit there for almost 2 hours. Anyway, so in terms of what I wanted to do, I think I achieved most of these goals that I set last year. So I wanted to make a silk top. I did do that. I made the Gushy garter vest in silk. Definitely left that knowing that I would only want to work with silk again in a DK weight. I have a much better sense of what kind of fabric it produces. It's so drapey, it's beautiful, but I definitely have a better sense of the kinds of things I would want to make with that. So that was a success. I did make my mohair cardigan because one of my goals was to figure out, like, can I deal with mohair? I think my takeaway is that I have not found a mohair yet. I have one more that you guys will see here in a minute that I'm going to try. I've yet to find a mohair that doesn't irritate my forearms. So I'm fine with mohair kind of through here and even on the body. But when it comes to my forearms and then right on my neck, that is where I have problems with mohair. So I did make the Like a Cloud cardigan, but then I ended up just making it short sleeved instead of long sleeved. Thank you. I forget who it was. Somebody in the comments of this video last year left me the suggestion of the yarn combo for that because I had the mohair, but I didn't know what I was going to hold it with. So thank you, whoever that was, because I saw your comment and thought, yes, this is exactly what I need. But yeah, I feel like I at least have a better sense of how mohair does or doesn't work for me. And I'm actually more okay with mohair when it's incorporated into a yarn. So like the Andorra from Kelborn Woolens, that one doesn't bother me as much. Anyway, I feel like success. I kind of know what my personal preferences are, which mohairs are more and less itchy for me, etc. Steek something. Yes, I did do that. I steeked my Stonecrop Cardi. And I love steeking. Oh, I also steeked my stag head pullover when the sizing issue happened. So yeah, steeking is great. I want to steek more. It was scary at first, but now that I get how it works, it makes sense to me, and therefore I'm not afraid of it. I think some of it is the mystery of, like, how does this work? The crochet technique, at least, I understand how it works. It makes sense, and so I'm less afraid of it. So I did that. I did try brioche and intarsia as new colorwork techniques, and I can't remember if I have more intarsia this year, but I do think I have at least brioche on my list again to knit this year. And then more mosaic colorwork. I did have one, the Velocore by Andrea Mowry, that was a mosaic colorwork. But yeah, I really like mosaic colorwork. I should put that back on the list. A piece together sweater. Yes, I did do that with I guess technically 2, because the tarot card sweater, which I made into a vest, was pieced together, though the sleeves on that one are meant to be knit in the round. And then the stag head pullover was pieced. And I'm not mad at the piecing technique. I kind of like it, and I definitely get now why people talk about it having more longevity. It just has more, I think I saw somebody on TikTok call it a boned versus an unboned sweater. The seaming definitely gives it more structure, more bones to support it. So yeah, I would definitely do that again. I wanted to crochet a tank and learn how to crochet. I did do that. I took a crochet class and I crocheted a tank. Other new textures, I don't know that I did that, but I do have, like I said, fisherman's rib or ruffles. I have both of those on my maybe list for this year, so we'll see. Grade a pattern to my size. I did not do that. I haven't gotten far enough into my queue where that has come up, but someday. I wanted to make more cardigans and vests. I did do that, and I will keep doing that because I think those work really well in my wardrobe. Wanted to knit a shawl. I knit a shawl and then I crocheted a shawl, and I get it a little bit more now why people like it. It doesn't have a ton of use in my wardrobe or like life, so I can't see myself, at least right now, doing that a lot, but I do see myself doing that some in the future. A knitted set, yes, because I did do the cardigan with the matching crocheted tank. I don't know if I would do more of that. I've realized that like the number of times I want that to wear is not that high. So maybe I would do that again, but maybe not. A skirt or a dress, I definitely see that as something I will do eventually. I have one in mind that is in my dream knits. Let me know, by the way, if you guys are ever interested in, because it's not that this is a knitting channel, but once-ish a quarter I want to make a knitting video, and I was thinking about doing my list of dream knits. I thought that might be fun. Let me know if you're interested in that. But yeah, I definitely would like to do that at some point. I now know enough about gauge, fiber, and construction to have a lot more trepidation about making something that would end up being wearable, or like for me, that would fit into my wardrobe well. So I think I know enough to now have worries. Like my beginner's ambition, I now have some questions about, but I'm not advanced enough to feel confident about how I would address those. So I think that might be further in my knitting journey. I said I wanted to recreate either Vic Michaelis's Henley or Emily Axford's green retro sweater. I didn't do that, but I do think that that is something I'd like to do at some point, kind of as a dream knit. In terms of in-person yarn stuff, I did go to the Nashville Yarn Festival. I wanted to go to the knitting pub night, but I was gonna go when they're in my neighborhood, and they stopped coming to my neighborhood. So that is off the list, but I did start going to a book club that is also knitting. So it's books and knitting, which is a perfect combo for me. So I feel like getting some of that in-person yarn, knitting, crafting community, I am sufficiently seeking that out. And then I had some yarns that I was interested in trying, which I feel like not that interesting to talk about at this point. So those were all of my goals from last year. Goals for this year. Maybe I can talk conceptually about what my goals are, and then I'll do a make 9. I don't know why people say make 9. That's like the equivalent of 26 books I want to read in 2026 for knitting. So I feel like I want to somewhat follow that format. So in general, my goal overall is to, in my first couple of years of knitting, I love a sale. And I talked about this in my low buy video I put up a while ago. I don't know when this is going up, but at the beginning of the year, I put up a low buy video, and I was talking about how when I love a sale, and especially during the holiday season or like anniversary kind of things for different yarn sellers, there will be sales. Or I've noticed the one that I'm particularly susceptible to is when there's colorway that are going out, or like a yarn that's getting discontinued and it goes 50% off. I am a sucker for that. So what has happened is especially because I've not been letting myself buy as many books in the last couple of years, I feel like I've poured some of my consumeristic, enjoyment of new shiny things into buying yarn, especially if there's some kind of deal involved. So what has resulted is I have a lot of sweaters quantities of yarn, and it is starting to feel not oppressive, but just like too much. It's too much. I want to knit down on my stash. So I'm on a no-buy for yarn until the holiday sales roll around again. Because I don't know, last year I got Magpie fiber mohair, their feather mohair. I got it from my local yarn store for 50% off. And I just couldn't say no to that deal. It was like, when am I ever going to get to try this very bougie yarn at half off? Come on. So I just don't know that I'll fully have it in me to resist the holiday sales again, but I do have it in me to just not buy anything until then. So because of that, my goal is going to be really working down my sweaters quantities, because the other set of things that I have my eye on to knit, things that I'm like, ooh, I would like to make that, but I don't think I can yet, because there are a lot of color work stuff or scrappy projects that I would want to not buy new yarn for, but use leftovers of what I have to do. I don't know how much leftover I have until I get through the sweaters quantity, because I should also say, when I was early in my knitting journey, I was buying yarn quantities for the wrong, like a too big of a size for what I now have realized I like. Yeah, basically, I just need to get through these yarn quantities. Not get through is not the right spirit. I bought these. I want to enjoy the process of making them. I am looking forward to having space for my overall stash to go down so that I can see where the dust has settled and then plan kind of my next tranche of projects accordingly based on what I then have to work with. So that's my thought. That's like kind of the overall goal for the year. I'm going to be less focused on upskilling because I've tried most of the techniques that I want to try. I'm going to be less focused on, because I'm not buying new yarn, I'm not going to be trying different types of fibers as much beyond just what I'm already deciding I'm going to try. I'm going to be knitting with a lot of stuff that I know that I like. So I feel like this is a refining, like less new skills, less new things, and more maybe refining and like honing in on what I like based on what I already do, if that makes sense. So that's kind of the overall goal. I'm trying to think if there's any, I would like to try a half fisherman's rib. I would like to try some different textures, some different ways to do cabling. Like there's some techniques I still hope to try for the first time this year, but I don't feel like there's enough for me to sit here and like list out what those are really. So my goal is to end the year with like a little bit more of a clean slate in terms of like full quantities of yarn and a better sense of like what my scrap situation is like, how much yarn I've used to like fix different things that I'd like to fix, etc. So those are that's like the high level goal. So let's talk about more specific goals. Also, hopefully the sound is okay. I apologize if it's a little echoey. We're working with what we got. My camera is still in the process of getting fixed, so working with the phone. Okay, so more specific goals. I've been gathering up the yarn from around the house. And the first more specific goal I have is I want to make myself some socks that fit as intended. If you have been following me in my knitting for a while, you will know that the first thing I ever finished, I don't know if it was the first thing I finished, but it was the first project I started on, was a pair of socks. But I understood neither gauge nor yarn choice, and so they ended up being comically large. Now, I did it twice, didn't learn from either, apparently, so they were both way too big. One pair I do use as my around the house socks. They're actually very comfy and I love them, but I would like to make a pair of socks that actually fit. So I have some sock yarn from when I first started knitting. I got a few balls because I thought I was going to be making all my own socks. Little did I know that I was going to be so disheartened by that process that I would not have it in me to continue. So I would like to start figuring out how to make myself some socks. They seem like really fun, longer term projects. Would be good uses for like special single skeins, because I do love variegated yarn, but the number of times I want like a full garment of that is pretty limited. So I think that these skeins will be well used in that way. That will segue into part of what I would like to figure out is how I like my socks to fit. And then I might start making them on my knitting machine. I got some kind of notification from Google. This is one of the few times where I'm like, okay, I guess I'm okay that you're stalking me. Telling me that this was on sale for I think like $20, $15, something crazy. So I went ahead and picked it up. I could see a world where I start making my own socks on this, but I don't really want to do that until I figure out how to do it the old-fashioned way. I've got at least one plane trip coming up. I might have two this year, and I feel like socks will be a perfect traveling project. I had to get wooden needles, so I went ahead and got the Flexi Flip wooden bamboo ones. So we'll see how I do with those. And yeah, I've got some basic patterns from Summer Lee, and we're just gonna figure this out. And I'm hoping that I fall in love with making my own socks and that becomes a new category that I enjoy knitting. The other big goal I had was to actually use this since I have it. I do hope to use it with socks. This may not happen this year, but maybe next year. I would like to figure out how to make panels on this and then make a fingering weight cardigan that I seam up with the different panels. That may not be something on the docket for this year, but I think that would be a fun project to get something that's closer to machine made but me machine made. Yeah, I'm hoping it will also satisfy and keep me from wanting to get the big knitting machines because those seem like they're so fun, but they're big. I don't know where I would put it, and they seem like they're a pain to figure out how to maintain. So this is gonna be what keeps me from over investing space, time, energy, and money into an old-fashioned knitting machine. Another goal that I have this year is to do my first major sweater surgery or revision. Last year, I had to reknit the bottom of a sweater because it got snagged on one of my cat's claws. That was fine because I actually didn't love the way that I'd finished the bottom of that sweater anyway. So it was a good excuse to like rip it back. I learned from that ripping out is a ton of work. So it's like almost a project in and of itself. But one sweater I'm considering doing that with is I forget the name of this, but I think it's the Snow Crocus actually. The Snow Crocus by Midori Hirose. I love this, but two things are true about my knitting now versus when I did this. When I did this, I did not realize that I was twisting my pearls. So I do have a section of twisted stitches versus normal. And as time goes on, it bothers me more and more. When I first did it, and I think to most non-knitters, like they don't really notice it, but if you are a knitter, like of course you do. So that is bothering me more and more. The other thing is, this was big when I made it, and it's bigger now. And I'm torn because I do like the oversized look somewhat, but not that much. Like, I don't know, I think for me, my taste and what I like to wear, I don't like things quite this oversized. So if I were making this fresh today, I would make it a couple sizes smaller. I'm considering frogging this entire thing and either re-knitting it or reclaiming the yarn. Another idea I had is that the main thing I like about this is these cables in the middle. And I am considering steeking out the front and the back cabled panels and then re-knitting something around that. I don't know. What do you guys, for those of you who are more experienced knitters than I am, do you guys have thoughts about that as an idea or a concept? Because I'm sure there's reasons why that's a bad idea, but that sounds like it might be kind of a fun project. I don't know. This is knitting for olive heavy worsted merino, which is not cheap yarn, and I feel like if I'm not loving this, maybe I just need to do something else with it. But I don't know. I also, like, I go back and forth because sometimes I see it and I'm like, oh yeah, I really like this. If I were knitting this today, I would do it so differently. So I don't know. I am adding this as a sweater surgery or frogging project for the year, tentatively, and I covet the feedback of more experienced knitters than I on their thoughts of the best strategy of what to do. I don't know. She's so pretty, but she definitely has flaws, and therefore I don't wear her as much as I would if she didn't have those flaws, and that seems like a waste. So I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. Okay, so those are my two kind of like conceptual goals. Now let's get into my specific projects, one of which the yarn just rolled away, so hold please. Okay, I got it. So I've got two projects that I'm taking into 2026 that will definitely get finished. I'm not going to include them in my Make 9, but they are in progress. One of them is this Field Day cardigan by Ozetta. So I just joined under the sleeves, so I'm on Body Island, though it is broken up by the button band, and I will be making the buttonholes soon, which will also break things up a little bit. I have the buttons around here somewhere that I grabbed. I'll put in a picture. I got these really pretty ceramic buttons with a William Morris pattern on them in a dark navy kind of color that I think will be a nice little pop to go with this. But yeah, I'm enjoying this. I do find Ozetta's writing style to not be that beginner friendly, so I'm surprised she's so popular with beginners. But I do think this is going to be a really like great classic basic cardigan that I will get a lot of wear out of. So yeah, that one will definitely get wrapped up this year because I'm about halfway through. The other one I'm bringing in to 2026 with me is I think it's called the Ranne vest by Irene. This is my first time making something from Irene, and I am enjoying this so much. This is so satisfying because it's at such a big weight. It is between an Aran and a bulky weight yarn, I think is what's recommended. I went with the Germantown Bulky in Tan by Kelborn Woolens. RIP, because this is getting discontinued, but at least as of this filming, I think you can still get some on their website, and I think it's 25% off. And I'm enjoying it for a bulky yarn. It is, I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but it does have an actual ply to it. So it's not just like that kind of like unspun roving bulky yarn that I see some people using that I feel like will not hold up at all. This is so satisfying and fun. It's pretty easy to memorize the pattern, and it's gonna be kind of like almost like a vest tunic. And I'm excited. I think that this will be something I can get a lot of wear out of, but I've never had something like it before, so we'll find out together. But yeah, this one is, because of the large weight, is flying off the needles. So this one will definitely get done this year. Those are the two that I have in progress. So then let's talk about my Make 9. Last year I made 40 finished objects, 26 of which were garments, and 2 of those accessories were garment work equivalent because they were shawls. So that's like 28 things I could probably make this year in terms of sweaters, tops, vests, all that kind of stuff, plus accessories. I should say, it turns out that I'm a pretty fast knitter. I'm an English style knitter, but that doesn't seem to slow me down. And then also I work from home and I knit when I'm on meetings. So I get a lot of knitting time in. That's how I have so many things done. And I also don't really like fingering weight garments. I tend to go like DK and up. So I know not everybody makes as much, and it doesn't matter. Like, just do as much as feels good to your hands, your spirit, your budget, etc. But anyway, all that to say, I will make a lot more than 9 things probably this year. But in terms of stuff that I have the yarn for already, for accessories, I would like to make myself a pair of fingerless mitts. And I have a tarot pattern that I've bought and is going to be one of the next things I make. I made mittens or fingerless mitts for pretty much my whole family. So I'm the only one who doesn't have a pair right now. I really enjoy that process. I think it's similar in some ways to sock making. But yeah, I have not done color work mitts in fingering weight. So I imagine that is going to be a little hard on my hands. This might take me a while to get through, but I think that the end result will be very pretty. I've got this modus operandi fibers. This is in 100% merino wool sock in the color Sunstone. This is stocked at my local yarn store. It's the only place that sells it, I think, in person. And then this is called Cinderella. It is a BFL sock from Megs & Co. Both of these were things I got when I first started knitting and didn't know how to pick things for me to use. So I'm glad that I found a project that I think will show off 2 very nice yarns to their full glory. So yeah, that's number 1, going through this as I see stuff. Okay, number 2, let's go with this guy. So I'm going to make, I should say those Daily Tarot mitts are by Jacquline Rivera. Next is the Tosca cardigan by Natasja Hornby. I haven't made a pattern yet from this designer, but she has a lot of beautiful patterns. I have a few in my library when they were on sale, something I've learned not to do because things go on sale way too often and I would have way too many things in my library that I'm not going to get to make. But I am going to make this one. I got this La Bien Aimée Cory Confetti in the colorway RGO when this was being, I think, discontinued. So I got it, I think, for 60% off. Very exciting. So I think this tweedy color will be fun. I don't have anything in this color, so it'll be a nice addition to my wardrobe in that sense. And then the reason I really like this pattern is that it's an unusual and kind of weird shape. So the way that it attaches, I'll put in a picture, is just unusual from how cardigans normally fasten. And it has those toggle buttons, which I have. I don't know where I put my little button pile, but I'll show you a picture of the buttons I'm going to use. It has toggles for the body, and then on the cuff there are buttons for the cuff as well. So I don't know, it's just kind of an unusual shape that I haven't seen in a lot of other designs. And I don't know, I think it'll be a special cardigan, something that I couldn't have gotten in the store, and I'm interested to see how the construction goes. I don't know this designer's writing style, so we'll see how good, how I get along with it, but I'm excited to see how she puts it together. I'm excited to see this kind of tweedy yarn, work up, because that's always fun. Yeah, I think that'll be a fun project. Number two, that was number two. Number three, I'll say, is the Salty Days sweater by Veronika Lindberg. I have this cesium yarn that I've skeined up. It was a special colorway for the Nashville Yarn Festival in 2025. And as soon as I saw it, I thought this would be a really fun lace pattern, something that I could wear in kind of like the spring and early summer. And I think that how much openness there is for that Salty Days sweater will go really well with this bright colorway. It'll have something to kind of break it up. And I think it'll be just a really pretty, like this kind of neon-y coral color, and then all of that beautiful lace work. People love that sweater. I've seen it. I mean, I know you've seen it. I've seen it everywhere. And I'm excited to see. I like her writing style, so I think it'll be kind of a fun potato chippy type project because of all the different lace sections and also seeing the variegation work up. So yeah, I think this will be a great one for spring. I guess on the same note as that, for Veronika Lindberg, I'm also going to make her Stitches sweater because I love color work. I feel like that will be a really fun, bright project, or at least how I envision it. So I'm using the Germantown DK from Kelborn Woolens in this kind of pebbly, I think it's called Pebble. Yeah, it's called Pebble. It's sort of this purpley gray color that I used in my Vest of Luck vest that I made last year. So I know I really like this color. I think it looks good with my palette. And this is the DK version of the Germantown. This is going to be the main color. And then the contrast colors are going to be these two are from Sonder Yarn Co. This is a dark purple. It's reading kind of pink on camera, but it's really a magenta. It's sort of right there between pink and purple. And then the bright contrast is going to be this neon yellow. This is from Lola Bean yarn. I forget which base it is, but I got it, I think, on sale last year. But yeah, I think that this kind of, yellow and purple are complementary colors. So I think these plus that sort of purple leaning gray will balance it out well. And I'm just really excited. I think that's going to be a beautiful colorwork project that I will have a lot of fun knitting up. And then I think it'll be just a fun, unique project for my wardrobe. So that was 4. 5, let's go with this project from Andrea Mowry that I'm going to do. It's called the Heartstrings Crop. And I originally envisioned this, it's a normal long sleeve crop garment. I love it. I love the way it looks. When I started thinking about it and incorporating what I have learned about Andrea Mowry's pattern writing since I originally got the yarn for this, I've decided that I'm going to make this a vest. I'm going to do some of my own decreasing to bring in the shoulder and make it more of a vest shape, because I realized that this wide funnel collar on this pattern, I don't see myself wearing that without wearing a shirt under it. And if I'm gonna have a shirt under it, maybe it should just be a vest, was kind of where I landed. So I actually think I'm gonna have leftover yarn from this because I made that decision after I got the yarn. But I'm gonna use the yarn it calls for, which is the La Petite Lamb's Wool by Biche & Bouche. This is in the colorway Soft Green Gray. So that's gonna be the main color. And then I have a couple of special little mini skeins that I'm going to use for the contrast. So there's a Tennessee dyer called Holly Dye Works, and I've got two, I think, of her bundles that I got at two different yarn stores, because I think she gives different yarn stores different ones. But these are her Pine Twist mini skeins. These are sock yarns, basically. This one is called Pride and Prejudice, and this one is called Jane Eyre. So I couldn't resist picking these up. And I'm gonna grab, I think I'm gonna grab this dark one from this, and then maybe this purpley one from that. I haven't decided. Plus this dark kind of rusty red one that I got half off from L'Ailbíona and Me. This is, I think, their Helix. So this is kind of the palette. I haven't decided exactly which ones I'm gonna use, but I think it's gonna be a really cute little vest. I think the shape of it's gonna end up being unique, and I think I'm just gonna have a lot of fun picking out which colors to use. So yeah, that's gonna be a vest. So that was 5. God, so I kind of wanna just say 6 is all of my different Rebecca Clow things I'm gonna make. So let me just run through them really quickly. I really love Rebecca Clow. If you watch this channel, you know I've made a ton of her patterns. She goes also by the Crayabea. I think they are really size inclusive and fit well for somebody of my bust size. Like, I like the fit. They're very, for me, exactly the kinds of things I like to knit, because they have the repetition of a relaxing stockinette project, but there's something a little more, like, you have to think a little bit more with them. And that's like the perfect project for me. So her process really works for me, and I really like all the products I've gotten from her. This is her alder sweater, which I love. So let me just run through what I have yarn for, and we'll call all of this number 6. So I'm gonna make her Dornie cabled sweater with this. I got in a warehouse sale from Camellia Fiber Co. last year for 33% off. This is her Serene Merino Aran, which is 100% non-superwash merino in the colorway Pine Cone. I think that this just didn't come out exactly right, so it's technically a one of the kind. So this is gonna be a beautiful cabled Dornie sweater, and it's in Aran weight, so I think it'll knit up pretty quickly. Then I'm gonna make a Staffin vest. I test knit the Staffin pullover, but I'm gonna make the Staffin vest. I got this Brooklyn tweed Rancho 02, which is American Rambouillet. I got this half off from my local yarn store, I think because, you know, it was getting discontinued. So I have enough to make, I think, a full Staffin vest. If not, I have a little bit of leftover Cascade 220 worsted that I can use for the hems, I think. But I'm gonna make a Staffin vest with that. I'm going to make a Kip sweater with this Ulysses in the colorway Lagon. This I used in a different project, I think in Andrea Mowry's Stripes, and I love this yarn. So I was excited to see this was the recommended yarn for this, and I think this, you know, kind of tealy blue color suits me very well. Yeah, I think this will be very much that. It's a herringbone pattern, so I think this will very much fit in the stockinette but better category for me. So I'm going to make that. I'm going to make the Sanna cardigan and in this Knitting for Olive heavy worsted merino in the color Blue Tit. And yeah, beautiful color. This is a lace cardigan. I think this is a good color for me. And this should be kind of another potato chippy type knit. And then the Lanark sweater in this Durare Natura Gilead yarn. I forget the colorway of this, but I used this to make my mom a collar for Christmas a couple years ago, and I love the way it worked up. It felt great. And I think this will make for a really nice pullover. Like, it's kind of, I just think it's gonna take that texture really nicely, so. And then the last one I think I have yarn for from Rebecca Clow. I'm gonna make her Cara wrap out of these two Isaïr yarns held double. I've not worked with Isaïr. I used their Alpaca 1 for something and liked it. So I've got the Alpaca 1 and the Alpaca 2. I think they're close, but not exactly the same. So I'm hoping that will make for a good drapey heathered kind of look. And I'm gonna make one to go over dresses in particular. So I wanted something kind of feminine and drapey and pretty. So I think this is pink. It's more mauve-y in person. It's kind of showing up gray on camera, but yeah, I think this will be a nice kind of neutral but better type piece for me. So yeah, I'm gonna put all my Rebecca clothes together for that. I love her. Let me know if you guys are interested in me doing some kind of ranking video of her patterns, because especially once I get through those, I will have made a lot of her patterns. We'll call that number 5. Actually, I just realized I have more yarn than I have slots. We're gonna put my 2 Veronika Lindbergs together too. So really, we've only done 4. Now we're on number 5. This is gonna be for the Fairy Bouquet cabled sweater from Joanna Ang. I don't believe I've knit from her before, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I have. I got this really pretty Sari from Palsy Knits last year. I've been looking for a yarn to go with it, and then this holiday season, Mother Knitters had their 10 merino wool from Sanna Skarn on half off. So I picked up a sweater's quantity of that, and I think these together will be very cute and girly. It's a very whimsical, girly, feminine cable pattern. So I think this kind of girly color with it will work. I particularly love all of the interesting cables that I see on the sleeve of this one. I haven't seen a cabled pattern quite like that before. So I'm intrigued to see how those are worked up, and I just think that this is going to be really just cute and feminine and lovely. Okay, number 6, I'm going to make a Lakes V-neck from Ozetta, like everybody and their mom, and I'm going to use this Camellia Fiberworks rainbow colorway. I've actually changed my mind about making the Lakes pullover just because I've been watching so many people's Everything I Knit in 2025 videos and TikToks, and I actually have seen enough people talking about things that bothered me in the field day cardigan as also being in the Lakes pullover that I just don't know that her style is for me. So I still want to do something really simple. So I think the pattern that I'm going to do instead is the Saglan by Ailbíona McLochlainn. This is a designer I've really been interested in a few of her patterns, but when I was looking for something that had an interesting saddle shoulder construction, this is the one that came to mind just because it has a saddle shoulder and raglan compound construction, and I'm not totally sure what that's going to mean, but the pattern talks a lot about it being like you're supposed to like customize it to how you want it to fit you. I think it's intended to be a unisex pattern, so I think that you could make modifications for traditionally femme or masculine bodies. So I'm really interested in this. This is going to be my first pattern with her, and I'm hoping that it's going to be essentially like a simple but thoughtfully constructed pattern that will really let this yarn shine. Like that should be the main kind of visual impact, but I'm hoping that I will enjoy what I think are some thoughtful construction details in there as well. This is a super squishy superwash merino, and this is their pride color that they put out every year. So I have a sweater's quantity of this. It's a nice pattern. It's kind of a classic pattern that I think will let a special speckled yarn shine. Okay, and then number 7 is a Sari Nordlund pattern. I have had a little bit of a journey to get the right yarn for. So originally, so I got this color, this bright purple, I think it's called Purple Rain sock yarn from Seismic Yarns. It also, I think, is glow in the dark. I just thought this was so fun and cool, and I was like, oh, I want to hold this with something fuzzy and make something lacy with it. I think that would just be fun. So originally I thought I would put it with this Fiber Spates Cumulus. And then when I knit up the swatch, I just decided it wasn't letting the original color, I don't know if you can see it, some of it's pulled out, but it wasn't letting the original color come through enough. So I went on a journey to try to find a mohair color that would just blend in more. And you can see the top definitely does. And so I got the Mayo Pearl mohair. I couldn't find this anywhere in the US. I had to get this from Canada. It's very soft. It's the softest mohair I've felt so far. And it's my last attempt to use mohair on my forearms and see if I can deal with it. But I feel like this is gonna let the original colorway really come through in the way I was hoping it would. So I think this is gonna be very pretty, and I'm gonna use it to make Sari Nordlund's Poet Mohair pullover, I think is what it's called. Poetry Pullover Mohair Edition. So it's a kind of a bold lace pattern to go with a bold color, and I just think it's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be fun to make, and I think I'm gonna just enjoy having something so bright in your face. I don't know that I've ever seen this color combo before in a piece of clothing, so I just think that's gonna be fun. Okay, I don't think I have to cheat, so I'll let each of these be their own thing, because I have two Joji Locatelli patterns that I'll round things out with. One is a pattern from her called Sesuro. I got this pattern when it went on sale a couple of years ago, again, before I realized that patterns go on sale pretty regularly. But I got the pattern a couple of years ago, and I thought, oh, I really like how it's combining kind of a soft, fuzzy texture with a lace pattern. I hadn't seen anything quite like that. Then I got this Bouquet from Camellia Fiber Co. in the colorway Pine Cone, which is, I think I've already talked about that colorway. Clearly I like it. And I thought that might be kind of the right fuzzy section on this pattern. And I finally decided on the yarn to hold it with being Knitting for Olive Merino in the color Dark Cognac. So I think the cool brown with the warm brown is gonna be an interesting contrast. And I think that it has stripes, so it has that kind of potato chippy quality to it already, but then also the different textures and the way that the yarn textures and then the design pattern textures, I think this is gonna be a really satisfying knit. And I'm hoping it is, because these are both fingering weight yarns, which is sometimes the death of me. So I'm hopeful that by combining these two things together, I'll not be so miserable working it up. And then my last make 9 and the other pattern from Joji Locatelli, let me just make sure I don't need to cheat in case I have. Oh, I am gonna cheat. Okay, so I'll call this my other number 8 since they're both by Joji Locatelli. I'm going to make the Cake Pop sweater from her. So again, I got this Lola Bean fingering in Bananarama a year ago, I think during their holidays. I forget how I ended up with this, but anyway, I thought that this was really cool, and then the swatch is what sold me. They had a swatch they posted on Instagram, and I was like, okay, I actually like the way that this works up. And then I just wanted to figure out what in the world I should hold with it. For a second, I thought I might make a lento by holding these two together, but that didn't quite feel right. So I made this swatch, and I held it with, this is a linen quill in a gray color, and I just felt like it was too washed out with that. So I got Camellia Fiber Co. non-superwash merino in the colorway Pink Amethyst. And I think these two together, it will let what's fun about this yarn shine, but this will be a nice kind of grounding pink color to go with it. And I love the Cake Pop pattern. It's just the sample is so bright. It's that pretty lace patterning. Because I'm holding two fingering together, it'll be in a DK weight, so I think that will work well for me. I just think that one is gonna be fun. I've got some basics in the mix, but I do have some bright things this year on deck, which I think will be fun. I like color, what can I say? And then the last one I'll mention, I'll make this my final make 9, even though I've clearly cheated throughout this. I do have my eye on the Iris sweater by Trin-Annelie. This is so beautiful. I feel like this would be a really intricate color work project. It's in light fingering weight, not even fingering, light. It's damn near lace weight yarn. This would be a long-term project. And I have some of the colors that I'm gonna use for it, but not all. So I don't know if I'll get to this year or not. I would like to at least get it started, but this is a dream knit that I think it's gonna be a patience project, something that I have to spend a lot of time on. We'll see how far I get in this one this year. I would like to at least cast it on this year and then treat it as a very long-term project. It does involve steeking, which I enjoy. So I don't know. We'll see if that one makes it very far, but I would like to at least get the yarn and cast it on by the end of the year. I think I have the colors I need to at least get started on it. So that's my kind of like stretch. Don't know if I'll finish it, but I'll at least get it going project for the year. Okay, so those are all the knitting plans. Hope you enjoyed seeing all the yarn and patterns and whatnot. I always am nosy and like seeing what other people are planning on making to get ideas. And I'm excited because I think by the end of the year, like I said, I'll have a much better sense of like what is all left in my stash and what kind of color work projects I can put on the list for 2027 based on where things are sitting. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I think it'll be a while before I make more knitting content, so hope this tides those of you who like this over. Hope you are doing well. Take care of yourself. Take care of your friends and family. Hit the bell if you want to know when I'm going to post, like if you liked it, all that good stuff. And we will just talk again soon. Bye!